after a deal was struck between Hamas and Israel. As Gazans who fled head back to what's left of their homes, Israelis are waiting for news of the release of the hostages who were taken 2 years ago. And here to discuss the very latest developments and what's ahead is Dalia Ziada, who is a Middle East scholar and Washington coordinator of the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kelly. Happy to be with you.
I would love to get your opinion of this latest diplomatic agreement to end the fighting. What are your thoughts?
So on paper, the 20-point peace plan that President Trump brought on the table is very promising, and it actually provides a solution for the bigger problem in the Middle East, which is the relationship between Arabs and Israel. It's not necessarily about Gaza, it's mainly about what the future of Israel in the region, the future for the Palestinians in general, not only inside Gaza. However, to implement this plan, to bring it to action, it requires a lot of work from several parties, not only from the Israelis and Palestinians, but also other key players in the region, including even non-Arab countries like Turkey and also Iran. What we're watching right now is all the celebrations, all the excitement is actually coming from a place of fatigue, sense of fatigue that has stricken the Middle East leaders, US leaders, everyone, that they just want to get to an end to this war. So we are happy that finally the US can put its weight on the region and get involved on that level in the region once again in order to stop the war. What will happen next? We still have to wait and see.
Yeah, I want you to get into that a little bit more about what is going to happen with the other countries in the Arab region that are involved in this. What are you expecting?
So right now we are in the very first phase of the plan, which is about releasing the hostages, the Israeli hostages, in exchange for a number of prisoners, Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons. So this is the easiest step, and it's only one step toward this holding the ceasefire for a period, hopefully longer than the previous ceasefire that was in January that fell apart within only a few weeks. For this to happen, Israel wants to get guarantees that Hamas will disarm and will be removed from the political scene inside Gaza. And Israel wants to make sure that Hamas wants to make sure that Israel will get outside of Gaza. The Israeli forces will completely withdraw from inside Gaza. For this to happen, there has to be pressure from the players who has leverage on both Hamas and Israel. For Israel, we know it's mainly President Trump who has this leverage, and he's already pushing for that. Today, actually, President Trump is preparing to go to the region. Yesterday, U.S. envoys Witkoff and Kushner were in Israel just negotiating this with the Israeli government. On the other side, Hamas, the main players are Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, and they are doing their best now to push Hamas to do this, but actually Hamas is, to this point that we speak today, they are rejecting to give up their armies, and actually there are now doubts that they may not even release the hostages because this is the last card in their hands to play with.
Yeah, what are your greatest concerns? Would that be your greatest concerns when it comes to this delicate peace process?
Actually, it's the greatest concern is not related to the Middle East. My greatest concern is about the consequences of how these 2 years of war in the Middle East had led to political polarization, the rise of anti-Semitism, and the rise of hate also between different groups in the Western countries, in the United States, in Europe, and actually enabled radicalism on several levels. So eventually we know that the Israelis and Palestinians will sit together, Arabs and Israel will find a way to go back to have their economic deals once again as it was before October 7th. But the real problem that we really need to be careful about and address, hopefully in the next few months or so before it's too late, is the consequences of this conflict on the Western countries.
What outcome are you hoping for when it comes to the decision as to who will run Gaza?
Oh, this is, by the way, the biggest question right now, because there is no force or faction inside the Palestinian territories or Palestinian politics in general that we can point at and say, this is the right player that can actually lead the future for the Palestinians or for Gaza. Hamas until today is still the most powerful. If elections are run tomorrow, actually inside Gaza, they will be re-elected once again. People still look up at Hamas inside Gaza, unfortunately, despite their terrorism, despite what they incurred on the Gazans since October 7. So for this to change, we need to provide an alternative to the Palestinian people, to the Gazans, and also an alternative that is credible for Israel, that can provide appropriate security guarantees for Israel, because we know for sure that Israel will not take the risk of accepting a situation where another October 7 might happen in the future.
Well, we are going to have to leave it right there. Ms. Ziada, we thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much.